welcome to the final presentation for the 2019 US MEX convention. Now before we get started, I have not been studying this subject matter very long. I was asked to do a presentation and I got really ballsy and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it on this. And I hadn't really studied this subject matter very often or very much. And to be perfectly honest, there's not much written about this subject. There's not much in the numismatic literature, and the attribution for this particular issue is speculative at best. Now, in my arrogance, thinking of my prowess as a researcher, I figured I could do this in a fairly short period of time. Boy, was I wrong. So there are not going to be any epiphanal moments here. This is going to be something where I'm presenting some information, things that are too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence, but I don't know what the significance of them are. And so I'm going to present some information, and we're going to have an open dialogue about it and throw some ideas around and talk about this subject, because there's a lot of speculation, and some of the speculation I just flat out don't agree with. I think it's wrong. But there are things that that don't make any sense as to what's going on here. So the subject is the key countermarks tentatively attributed to Cuba. Now, many people, not many people, but some people believe these countermarks are of Mexican origins. Many people believe them to be Cuban. Well, and in doing my research, I found connections to the US, I found connections to Great Britain, I found connections to Mexico, and I found connections to Cuba. So, let's get started. So, Cuba, in doing the research that I've been doing, is often referred to as Queen of the Antilles and key to the Americas. It's the largest island by far in the Caribbean, and it was one of Spain's last colonies, finally going to the US after the Spanish-American War. Now, Cuba is only about 80 miles away from Florida. It's really close. And the closest point, or the closest point on Mexico and to the closest point on Cuba is about 125 miles. Again, that's not very far. You could easily get on a ship and beat a Mexico in a day or two. I mean, it's not very far. And there are all kinds of references to exiles going to Cuba, or going from Cuba during the War for Independence in this time period and before. They were going to Mexico, they were going to the US in places like Key West, New Orleans, New York. And they had started clubs for these insurgents, or the exiles had started clubs trying to gain support for the independence and trying to raise funds and get volunteers and things like that. As early as 1825, so this in